Well, my spiritual teacher explained it this way. He said that if you take it way back to the root, there's basically two spiritual paths, and he called it the yogic and the tantric. And the yogic is all, that's not the same word as the yoga that we do in studios, although it is part of that, but it's the idea that there's something you need to do to get to God or to get to enlightenment or to have realization. There's something you need to do. So these types of traditions would be you need to do yoga postures, you need to eat a certain way, you need to say a certain number of mantras, you need to do these things to advance. And Tantra says, is all the traditions that say, you're already there. In this moment, everything is already perfect. If you can get out of the way and experience that, there's nothing else to be done. And so in Tantra, in this sort of tradition, we, instead of making ourselves do stuff or eating certain ways that we don't particularly want to eat or whatever we might try to do, we practice being in this present moment, getting out of the way, quieting our minds and seeing that in this moment, love is already here. My mind is telling me it's not because you don't have the right shoes or your profile on the dating site isn't the right thing or this or that. We practice seeing that love is already here. And so how that translated is that because everything's sacred, sex is sacred too. So it became the only spiritual path where sex was sacred, because I don't know about you, the one I grew up in, sex was not very sacred.
Yeah.
In fact, it was the opposite. So to have a religion where sex was sacred, it became like this weird, terrible, thing that the other paths condemned.
Yeah, very much so. So you were, so did you know much about Tantra before you went over and lived in the ashram?
I had read quite a bit about it.
So that's probably why it brought you there, right?
Yeah, and I was attracted to this particular teacher.
Okay.
And so I had read this more philosophical, and I like the sex positive aspect of it. I'm not going to pretend I didn't, but it wasn't like a bunch of wild orgies or anything. Maybe that was going on and I wasn't invited. I don't know. No, I'm just kidding. But it was a sex positive environment, but it was single people were meeting each other in this climate of everything's perfect, everything's beautiful. How can I love you in this moment? Not what I find in the Western world is, I'm going to date you until I figure out what I don't like about you.
Yeah. And constantly, I'm going to find something wrong with you first, so I'll reject you first before you reject me, but then it becomes a race.
Exactly. And so what I'm doing when I go on the dating site is I'm looking at this list going, no, 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 no. And what I found was, I believe that the process of dating that we do here is actually creating people who are less loving. We're going out and being less loving and trying to find love.
Yeah.
And I think that I noticed myself as I was on 5 online dating sites and I was meeting a couple people a week, and I felt like this is making me more and more and more and more judgmental. And my criteria is getting narrower and narrower and narrower.
Yeah, one bad experience after a bad experience, and before you know it, your shields are up so thick that you're not even giving anybody a chance.
Exactly. And one of my students likes to give the example that, she had checked that she didn't believe, on the dating site, she had checked that she didn't believe that she would be compatible with a Muslim man, for example. And I said, are you prejudiced against Muslims in your personal life? She goes, oh, no, not at all. I would have Muslim friends, but I didn't think I would date a Muslim man. Well, guess who she's married to?
Yeah.
Once she opened her heart.
Yeah.